Giles, good morning.
Good morning, Paul. How are you doing? Did
I'm good. It
you have a good weekend? I know you were working. Did you have a productive weekend, perhaps I should ask?
was good. Did some different things. I went to that sauna.
Oh, yeah.
Um, yeah, it was good. Fine weekend. I actually had a little bit more of a physical weekend. I went out and played some spike ball. Was able to play some basketball. Got
Oh,
in the
nice.
sauna. So it was good. It was good because I haven't done a lot of aerobic exercise lately. Um, so nice to just kind of get
Yeah.
out there, run around.
Yeah, I do. That is nice. I had a couple of walks on the weekend and long walks with my wife. So that was nice. A bit of a chat and a bit of exercise as well.
That's great. How was it warm at all? Like warm enough to
Yes, it was like probably about 60 plus degrees. It was warmer than Spain over the
Oh
weekend here
wow.
in the UK.
Oh,
So
that's
it
nice.
was really pleasant and nice evenings. The evenings are starting to elongate. One of the nice things about the UK is the summers can be really long. Like it's still light 8, 9, 10 o'clock, and we're on the beginning of those long summer nights coming in.
Oh, that's great.
So you sense it that it's going to get better.
That's great. Yeah, it gives you some hope for fine weather again.
Exactly. So as we start this week, we're really sort of in the afterglow of the last few weeks. And the big story really has been volatility moving and stocks falling. In the US, it's been on growth concerns essentially. Now, the big picture, and Powell was speaking about this at the end of last week. And remember, we're now into the blackout period. So we won't have any Fed speakers until the Fed meeting in 10 days' time, Wednesday week. So we're in the blackout period. But what the big concern is that the US exceptionalism, in other words, that the US is able to bounce back from normal global stresses because of productivity, because of US administration advantage, size advantage, and the concern now is that US growth is actually starting to slow. Now, a lot of the slowing worries have come from forward-looking indicators. So US consumer confidence, University of Michigan data, S&P global PMIs. Some of those PMIs have been mixed with the ISM diverging from the S&P global PMIs. And Powell himself sort of said it's hard to read into sentiment into kind of forward-looking indicators.
Just hope the minerals deal with Ukraine. It gets done this week.
He's
that
live.
means-
We're ready to go. He's live.
So that means that markets are sort of worried that US growth is slowing. And that's what's been stopping that dollar strength. That's what's been weighing on equity markets. And then on top of that, and you can see here in you see that huge spike in German bunds. All of a sudden, Europe has said, well, we need to boost defense spending. Germany says we need to start spending. And that's created this divergence between German bunds and US 10-year yields. And the big beneficiary of that has been the euro dollar. And you can see the euro dollar up like sort of 4% last week. And you can just see that huge spike in the euro dollar. And that's what's going on. It's those twin narratives of the Eurozone stepping up and starting to beef up spending, just as the US is potentially weakening and growth is slowing. But just remember that we need to see hard data to really underscore that slowing growth. And at the moment, it's just a bit of a fear. And you could bounce back if you start getting hard data coming in very strong. We did have the jobs data out last Friday, and it was weaker than markets were expecting towards the weak side. Look, non-farm payrolls underneath forecast, prior revised lower, unemployment rate towards the high end of expectations, average earnings towards the low end of expectations. So that kind of begun to show a little bit of weakness in the US labor market. But any impact from Doge, that's Musk's government Department of Efficiency in the US, is not expected to come through to the payrolls for another couple of months. So leaving all that, we're now expecting the Fed meeting in 10 days. Expectations are that the market's going to hold, but increasingly, and the expectations of increasing for interest rate cuts. And at the end of December, we're now looking for 3 interest rate cuts. So that's allowed the dollar to keep weakening. and the divergence with what's going on in Europe has allowed the euro dollar to keep gaining. Now, where are we? If we look at this technically, we've had a good run now down in the dollar. Markets don't move in a straight line forever, and you start to begin to expect some kind of retracement. Technically, we're in this big sort of support level at the 103.50 on the Dixie. And then if we drop down here, you've got deep support at 102 and even deeper support at 101. So could we see the Dixie go under 102, 101? Sure, it's possible, but you're beginning to expect some kind of just natural retracement, even if the dollar is going to keep falling. And the big data that everyone's looking at this week is going to start with the US CPI on Wednesday. That's going to be the data. And remember, that will give markets a good indication about how the inflation battle's going. And that's going to move both the dollar and equity markets. So to start the week, we're in this kind of, it's kind of like, you got nothing to direct you. Is it do they call it the doldrums when you're sailing? When you're in the doldrums, there's no wind, there's nothing to necessarily blow you one way or the other, except for one thing, which is tsunami of tariffs. And all of a sudden, you're going to get something potentially on tariffs, and it can really move markets. So we're going to have this funny, tricky kind of trading with a potential headline just coming in and moving markets. Canada's beefed up now with the Canadian Prime Minister Carney, who's a totally different character to Trudeau. And that's going to change the dynamic between the US and Canada. And it could easily make the negotiations a little bit tougher. I think Carney's going to be tougher than Trudeau, and that could make some antagonism. So watch out for tariffs there. And then we've got metal tariffs due to come on Wednesday this week. So we need to look out for that being revised. And then the major tariff announcement is expected to come sort of start of April. So tariffs are kind of there. So look out for comments from US Commerce Secretary Lutnick and President Trump. They're the two things. So that's what's really going on. Najam said he was reading an article with this Friday consumer confidence was important. Let's just have a look at that. Let me just check what that is. Where is that? Yeah, this Michigan print. Now, it isn't, right? So this is another sentiment gauge. And remember when we saw this spike higher, this was 4.3% for the 1 year. I remember that went up from something like, was it 3 or something? It jumped up a percentage point. And the 5 year went up. If this goes up again, then expect equity markets to move lower in that jam, right? If that comes in back to normal levels, then you could see a relief rally, or markets just might bump on to the next data point. The reason people like this University of Michigan print is because, look, we're here March the 10th, and you see that this is for March data, so it's quite up to date. So people like it for that. It's quite recent. So it gives you a good sense of what's going on in March. And this is the preliminary reading. You get 2 a month. This is the first of the 2. So this is the most influential.
For the calendars, Japan's trade minister is to meet with US Commerce Secretary Lutnick. To the New York Times that will happen today.
But remember, like when we got the print last time, the 1 year and 5, there was a split with the Republican and the Democrats. So it was very politically influenced. So I'll be looking out for headlines on that. But I think markets will just react initially on whatever this is. And if this comes in high again, then expect the reaction. So it is important, but it's still sentiment based, and it's sentiment based from, Tom, Dick and Harry, Najam. It's just your average consumer. So it's not a business, it's not an indication of that. Now, the reason some economists like this is because consumers will adjust their spending much more quickly than a business. A business might say, we'll do our projections and our spendings for the next year, and they won't change their spending habits till the next year maybe. They might have 12 months where they're just happy to suck it up. Whereas a consumer won't do that. If there's a big change to their income, they'll change within the month, right? Or even sooner. So in that sense, it's important, right? So that's kind of what to look for. That means we're going to be really just led by what's going on in terms of the order flow. Looking at the S&P 500 in the big picture, let's just have a look here. Where is the, let me just get we're now breaking under that 200 exponential moving average. we're testing this major support level, right, and trying to break through another swing point. And notice that even though you sort of had a nice hammer reversal bar there on the daily, right, we've moved down to test the bottom. Now, that's a nice kind of reversal, hammer reversal bar, and that's beautifully formed. If you look at the size of it, right, it's long tail. Notice how it's rejecting the 200 moving average. It's also got a bullish close, and the close is within the body of the previous day candle. So that is technically is lovely, really, really nice. And if you've got a break of the highs of Friday, you'd definitely be expecting a run up to that resistance level, either the R1. So watching for a breakout today on that is like, definitely look for that today, and look for that on volume. And that's something that I would go with. Also, we're in the daily S1 pivot point. This is just a great support level. If this is going to hold, it should hold from here. So if I start seeing absorption from down here, I'll look to build in a long position, definitely. Because that's a lovely area where you'd expect to get absorption, and you've got this commanding candle. And notice how there's a false break of those lows. So some people that thought they were going for a fresh breakout of those lows, right, here, right, they were trapped. Now they're retesting it. If they can carry on selling and break the tail of that, then that's a great win for the bears, right? So that's the technical battle that I'll be keeping an eye on today. I just want to make sure I've got that on my chart. I can see it on my other screen. I don't want to lose sight of that battle. Looking at the rhythm, normal trend lower, but we're falling down into this sort of key support level here. Okay, so be looking for absorption here is what I want to look at, and I wonder if I'm even starting to see that happen. Let's just have a little look whether we're starting to see the absorption. Right, ever so slightly, there's a bit of absorption going on there. So I'll be keeping my eyes out on that. I would like to see this ideally moving higher, but there's a lower low and there's a slight higher low on the cumulative delta. So that's starting to build up. Now, normal trend lower, but we're looking for a reversal around this area or a breakout and continuation. That's a great point, Najam. VIX about to break out these highs. And since the VIX has been holding above this major resistance level around this 23, and like now look, we've had this breakout here, this 24 level, we're clearly trending higher, right? And that, as Najam really helpfully points out, does pour a little bit of water on the idea that that's going to be a reversal area, right? So keeping an eye on the VIX today as well as those technical areas. And for me, not getting too caught up with the idea that this is going to be a nice reversal with a nice absorption area. Hey, Lucas, good to see you. US hour change has caught a few people out today. So that's why we're getting going. And the link wasn't up in the thing. We had a miscommunication on our end, so apologies for that. Good to see you, mate. What we're looking for now, key levels that we can see is big bunch of sellers coming in there at the 5709. We've got another big bunch of sellers up here at the 19 and the 33. We'll be keeping our radar on those levels. On the hourly chart, key levels is we've got weekly developing point of control is there at 5715, and we've got some sellers building up underneath this area here. We've got some big sellers here at the 5730. So if we can start to push above the point of control and above any sellers at the 5730, then maybe above the 5748, that would be great. Pushing above that, developing a value area high. We're sat in a developing value area low for now. So you've got to be careful of shorts because we could start to see a little bit of support building there. The delta, looking at it on the daily chart, you can see that delta is negative from the open. So we are 4,000 contracts negative, even if we've got a little bit of attempt at moving higher. But those buyers that tried to move higher ended up getting trapped. And you can see here, particularly, these buyers here got trapped, price moved lower. These buyers here got trapped, prices moving lower. And we've got some more buyers here, and they're in the process of potentially getting trapped and continuing the way down. Key areas to be looking out for is these lows from Friday and looking for a potential breakout there, and Let's just see where a decent target would be if we continue to go lower. And that's where it gets quite difficult with the volume profiles, because you've got to go back so far. Right, okay, we'll just cross that bridge if and when we come to it. But for now, we've got developing value area nicely to the right.
Update from Canadia's Alberta Premier says we'll continue to supply energy to the US, but need to develop Canadian pipelines to find new opportunities. Says Canadian oil currently not subject to US tariffs. Production not impacted, but producers need to prove compliance. Is speaking at CERAWeek.
So that's where we're at, and we've got the open coming in 4 minutes. Big areas to be looking for is that developed value area at the 5720. Not a bad area to look for potential shorts, and you've got quite a lot of trap buyers up there, and they were defended here. So I'm not looking to go with anything from the open, but we'll just be keeping my eye on as things develop. So Paul, over to you. Anything that you're seeing that's grabbing your attention? What are you seeing out there at the moment?
Just looking for, you were saying all focuses on that big level, those lows.
Yeah.
Right around the 73.
Yeah.
I think that's where all the action is going to happen. So
Yeah.
do we break through? Do we establish some downtrend? Do we turn around? That's kind of where it's going to happen, I think. So that's the level I'm looking at and hoping.
Yeah,
hopefully
yeah,
we can-
that's a great place for action, actually.
Reversal would be great. It's fine with me. A big breakthrough would be fine, but you
Yeah.
imagine that's where some of the money is going to be made. So we'll see what the open does. A few
Yeah.
minutes. It feels like we want to go lower, so we'll see.
Doesn't it? Yeah. We don't quite know what to do we? We're playing with these lows.
Yeah.
Delta's positive from the open. You've got some absorption coming in here. It's very difficult with that VIX so high. I'm going to enter a position here, going for this absorption.
Going long or short?
Going long, because I can see that price has tried to make another low. It's failed, and we haven't made another low on the delta. So what we're seeing here is we're seeing absorption.
Yep, it is definitely, it's turning around.
Yeah, that's kind of like an obvious area. So okay, I'll give it a run. Stops under the second standard deviation. See if you can see this build. Delta is positive now.
It's having a little run. You're
Yeah.
going to get up to these resistance levels here at the 5700. See if it can break through. Here's the thing about this market. You get a trade and you hold it and it just wants to run.
Yeah. So there's a bunch of sellers getting trapped there on the 5. Hey, Leo, no, don't worry at all. It's US hours.
Hey, Leo.
Good to see you, mate. Okay, we're going for that, aren't we now? Going for a little run. Right, absorption just carries on. If I can get above that 15, I'll look to add. If I can't get above that 15, I might consider exiting with what I've got.
Yep.
If I've got all those sellers entering there, I want to see them exiting on the spike,
Yep. I think you're good for now. This is holding in a nice sort of push higher. You'd expect some resistance up here. It's not going to go in a straight line,
Yeah. There's a bit of volume coming in there as well, which is nice. If I move back down to those 15 being trapped, I'm going to enter a second position because I've got the confidence in this. The absorption's taking place now. I'm also going to be looking for a breakout here as well if I can get one to the upside from the 5711.
Okay.
Just a market update following the US cash open, starting with indices, they do open red across the board. S&P 500, that's down 1.3%. Nasdaq 100, that's underperforming, down 1.8%. For Russell 2000, that's only down 0.5%. Dow Jones down 80 basis points. Do open lower as concerns and uncertainty over trade do continue. Remarks were recently seen from US Commerce Secretary Lutnick saying Trump will not ease up on fentanyl-related tariffs and that tariffs will come off if fentanyl ends, noting that steel and aluminium tariffs will take effect on Wednesday. Meanwhile, White House economic advisor Hassett does believe that Q1 GDP will squeak into positive territory and Q2 GDP will take off after tax cuts. Regarding sectors, real estate, utilities, energy all seeing gains outperforming, while technology communications and discretionary are the biggest laggards. In the FX space, the dollar index is modestly lower as downside against the yen and Aussie weighs. Yen upside does come amid lower US yields and risk of trade. Dollar yen currently up just above that 147 handle. The euro dollar upside has trimmed following the German Green Party officials speaking on spending plans, recommending lawmakers not to vote for the bill concerning the spending plans. And for the CAD, that is the outlier in the red, with Mark Carney as the new leader of the ruling Liberal Party, vowing to maintain tariffs on US imports until the Americans show US respect. Meanwhile, treasuries are benefiting from the risk-off sentiment, as well as soft Chinese inflation data over the weekend, again seen across the curve, and for the 10-year yield, it's currently down 8.2 basis points. Meanwhile, crude prices have recently seen downside, currently down about 37 a barrel on WTI at 66.75. Brent just about touched that $70 per barrel handle. Updates have been light in the crude space, just trimming earlier upside.
Well, sellers have come in with some strength now. This is a key area that we're battling have at the 95. So I want to see how things develop here. The absorption is starting to fade with a lot of sellers suddenly coming in.
Yeah.
So let's just see. Yes.
Coming up in 10 minutes, we are looking out for US employment trends for February. As a reminder, the prior figure, that was 108.35.
Absorption, it's just holding on there.
Still pushing higher. You look
Still,
okay.
yeah, it's still pushing high. And the buyers are still there, but they're weakening. That's the problem.
And that flush, it's quick.
Is that some kind of headline as well? That was
Gonna go reheat the coffee. I'll be back.
Yeah, I've seen a bit. Let's have a look at the VIX. VIX is up at those highs. Let's have another test of those lows, I think. That absorption has gone.
Seeing remarks from Germany's finance minister says the coalition plan has strong growth impact. To see remarks from ECB's Nagel says we are in an environment that makes necessary analysis of data each time. Do not want to speculate what will happen at the next ECB sit-in.
I'll give it one last chance, see if it can just move back from here, but I think that's it really on this one. Just closing those out. That's just moving the wrong, all that absorption has failed now, and it failed on that candle. So shorts look attractive. Let's have a look. Folks, so let's have the quick rundown. So started off with the counts I'm trying to pass, and got some absorption, and you can see it more clear on the lower time frames, with price making lower lows and the delta making higher lows just slightly. So entered a long, and then tried to enter the second long, trying to sort of move it up higher back to this value area low. And then very decisively, we got some delta coming into the downside. It was just here, just seeing that delta moving in, and clearly the absorption was collapsing there on this candle. So when that was obvious, just closed out. Then we had the point of control move up to this 95. And on the accounts I'm trying to pass, just entered some positions to sell. And unfortunately, I hit my drawdown limit, which is annoying. So that account closed out. But on my live accounts, took a nice trade there up against that level on the micros. And that level here is where I was taking it on the micros. So that was up into this level here. You can see on the, where is it? You see on the 15 here. Just move down to the 5. Very nicely, you can just see these buyers trapped, point of control, entered on a slight retracement, and then took some positions to the downside. Yeah, take it easy, Devan. Take it easy, man. See you tomorrow. So that was a nice, straightforward trade. And then took another short from here, lower on 5-minute buyers getting trapped. Very nice, another little trade. And then closed that account off, so I didn't hit my 30% limit for taking profit. Had the same kind of, and then have another retracement up to the 71.50 with those buyers getting trapped, and took 3 micros to the downside and took them off down at the bottom. Then tried to go short again with these buyers getting trapped by these sellers. But then as soon as price was coming up above the point of control, above the standard, it was obvious something was wrong. And I only had a 10-point stop on it. So when I saw it, trade was clearly going against me, scrapped the trade. Price moved up only to sell off, and then once again got another opportunity. Sellers trapping those buyers, point of control, obvious area to sell from was the 66, and then moved up to the 66, and then price dithered around these the standard deviation, just took it off, and that brings it to the end of the session.
There you go.
There we go.
Word of the day, dithered. What is that?
Dither is like you're not doing anything. It's kind of you're not committing forward or back. It's you're dithering.
There we go. A little bit of futures.
Word for the day. Word for the day is dither.
Dither.
Dither and dally.
Yeah, that's
he
it.
dithered and he dallied. In other words, he didn't know what he was doing.
That's it. All right, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.
Take it easy, Paul. Bye.
Take care.
See everyone.
See you,
Take care, everyone.